Hello. So, I don't know how long this is. I have been told that by Sander that it is a certain length, but maybe not the biggest length. Did my cup move? Go back to where you're supposed to be, cup. Sander said that if there's a lot of bug fixes and stuff like that, so if I don't read all of those detailedly, then this could be maybe an hour or two. I don't know if that's true. And the website goes more in depth than the in-game. Okay, I should probably do that then. I was hoping to just be able to use this because, let me just double check. See what this has currently. Yeah, this is probably fine. Let's see if this works. One sec. News. Spring cleaning. So lately, XSplit hasn't worked with Chrome. Yeah, and it's still the case, unfortunately. Can't see the window. I don't know why, but it's just not working. I should probably do some troubleshooting. But for some reason, I mean, I can do this like XSplit webpage. That's what I did last patch. It felt really bad though. It felt real bad because I had to read it on XSplit then, which didn't feel good. So I think, oh no, you can do a computer. Let's go look for the good old Microsoft Edge. For some reason this works, but the other one doesn't. Okay. Boop, boop. I don't know what that was. Okay. Oops, this is not it. Click here. Okay. How's the text size? I'm not technically reading. This looks good. Okay. Not super long. Okay. How are we doing on viewership? 500 whole viewers already. It's pretty good. All right. Let's get started. Hello, everybody, and welcome to my unofficial and informal start of the 7.08 patch stream. As with all patch streams that I do, this is a first impressions. And what that means is that I haven't read this yet, which means that I'm going to get things wrong and not understand how some mechanics work, and that's going to happen. I'm also going to do math badly. That's pretty standard. But with that, at least I can enjoy reading the patch, and you get to see my natural reactions. So that's the trade-off here. So I am supposed to say hello, everybody. I just don't. I don't know. I feel it makes me feel weird saying that all the time. So I just try to limit that to like off-stream VODs. All right, let's get started. They're putting tape on towers. This is the new Treant living armor, I believe, is how this works. Pretty sure. Spring cleaning, bug fixes, quality of life improvements. New profile. That makes sense considering all the things that they've been kind of leaving out. Here's what we changed. Okay, so this is your profile now. Last matched user feed, international stuff, trophies, all hero challenge. Still got our Pentagon. Good. These are still here. I'm surprised. I would have thought they would have changed that. This is your Steam profile picture and most successful heroes. That's kind of cool. Looks better. Redesign the player profile. Mana drain slows people. Is that real? I guess that's real. I hate when Valve spoils me like this, dude. I wasn't ready to read this. Include many common feature requests as well as some new features. Check out your latest match performance. Yeah, I kind of already saw that. Okay, so this is what they mentioned. I guess before I go further, I should mention if you guys haven't read Icefrog's tweet yet from 2 days ago, 1 day ago, he basically said that they're not going to do giant patches every couple months. They're going to test out doing more frequent small patches. They said that they're going to try this for about 6 months, and then afterwards they're going to reassess. So that already tells us that this patch wasn't going to be super long. But this was one of the things that I don't remember if I read this in his tweet or something else, but this was one of the ways to help people be aware of the changes more commonly now, is that there will be things like this. Oh, this hero was changed recently. Now Mana Drain slows people, for example. So I think that is interesting, possibly very helpful. So there'll be little updates there. Section in the Learn tab with full change log. That's what I was looking at in game just a second ago. During a game, you can hover an ability or tooltip to see if and how they changed. We'll see about this. This feels like one of those things that a Valve employee is gonna have to manually update every time, and some are gonna fall through the cracks. So I feel like there's gonna be a lot of bugs on that. Last hit trainer. I feel like we had something like this in the past, but I don't know what's going on. I did look at the Learn tab. I'll actually go take a look at it really quick. I'll show you guys what it looks like. So there's a Learn tab now. Here's like the patch basically. Training has got a last hit trainer. It's very obvious they're gonna make more things. Which I think is a good idea. That way people can kind of learn some basic things without having to play a real game. Here's all the old tutorials. I've heard that these are all awful, but I have not tried them before. There's items, obviously, and it looks like they put hero guides here. So there's a little bit more exposure to whoever makes hero guides. Let's look at my guides. How they doing? Purge's guide to support Abaddon from 2017. It has 87% ratio. My skill build is not ideal anymore, and I haven't put in the talent tree. Someday I'll do that. Most of these I literally haven't done in... Has it really only been... I don't even remember updating these in 2017. But yeah, the patches, the talent tree patches hit since I last updated them. But yeah, hero guides. Let's publish this one. This one's real good. Okay, let's go back to our favorite web browser, Microsoft Edge. All right, improve buyback notifications. That's cool. At the top here, portraits in the kill feed. You can hold Alt to see recent buybacks in the top bar after the initial notification has faded. Notifications in the kill feed will be sticky. Okay, that's good. This is like if too many heroes die after somebody buys back, you can't actually fully check if somebody bought back or not. So having that be around longer is good. Live Pro Tournament tab. Should be easier to tune in for a stream without a scavenger hunt. Okay, now when a major minor is live, you'll see a dedicated front page cell on the client. Okay. Oh, excuse me. So this is really important because it's kind of something people have been requesting from Valve and Dota 2 for a very long time, was that they wanted stream embeds on the main page because it's a really obvious way for the game creator to promote tournaments, is that, and the esports scene, is that, hey, if somebody goes into the Dota client and all they do is play games and all of a sudden they see this like, oh, there's a stream going on, like a live tournament, yeah, they can watch in the watch tab, but they won't necessarily feel how big it is because they won't see like in-person shots and stuff like that. So I think this is a nice change. It's good this is there because honestly most of the Dota front page is all kind of just advertising and stuff that isn't that important, and this is a nice way to give back to the tournaments, in my opinion. Something that probably should have been instituted a long time ago, but now I understand why they're doing it, because it's majors or minors, and those are Valve approved. So in the past, Valve would have had to decide which tournaments are we going to promote, which ones aren't we going to promote, and now it just makes sense. They should do all major minors. So this is like an easy way that they can promote the game, and I guess no issues of bias. Okay, strategy, purchase, phase item pooling. So okay, cool. So now before the game starts, you can give tangos to people. That's really cool. So that way you can give wards to other people. That is really, really cool. That way I don't have to walk around, give it to each person, chase people down. I really like this change. Really good idea. Very cool that this has kind of happened slowly over time. But it's a nice way to plan ahead. That way if I start the game, I don't have to sit there and type like, hey, can somebody give me tangos? I should know at the start of the game pretty much if I've been given one. Very awesome. So I assume you click on the item and then press plus or minus depending on how many you want to give, I think. My headset keeps turning off because I'm not listening to anything. So, hey, don't groan on me. My dog is sleeping by me, trying to sleep by my feet, but she wants attention. I've already taken her out twice today. A little. Sorry, I got to stream. Team teleport status. Okay, that's really cool. Oh, okay. It's not showing active teleports. It's if they have a teleport and it's ready, so I can hold Alt. That's actually really, really cool. That's so much easier. I'm really bad at checking allies to see if they have teleports, and it takes a long time. You have to move around, click on their items, or you have to click on top bar, like check your hero, check Tinker, check anti-mage. But if I can just hold the Alt and see the cooldowns, that's really awesome. She's grunting at me. Ooh, yes. I've seen a lot of comments about this. I try not to read Twitter too much right when patches come out, but I saw a lot of tweets instantly about this. So, extremely high number of reports or excessive negative behaviors been detected. Further reports or negative behavior may result in a 6-month ban. I've been chewing this in my head a little bit in the last like hour or two, and I think this is probably the right way to go. I don't know how the system works. Go automatically issuing, feeding, abandoning, player abuse. Yeah, this is really good. I mean, in reality, if you get put into low priority for an X amount of time, people can always switch accounts. But if you're banned from any matchmaking for 6 months, if you're an extreme user, I think that's pretty fair. Those people honestly shouldn't play Dota anymore. One sec, I gotta blow my nose. Mute. Like these are the people that kind of maybe don't ruin, but make the experience very negative for a lot of other players because dealing with the randos that are just dicks, it's not very fun. Muting obviously works well, but for people that auto feed, for example, and I guess communication wise, doing something like a 6-month communication ban, I'd be cool with personally. But for people that literally feed down middle, basically intentionally ruin the game, those people absolutely ban them from matchmaking for a very long time. I think that's completely fine. I'm not against 6-month bans against people that are verbally harassing and stuff like that as well. I think those people also cause a ton of issues in the Dota 2 ecosystem. But we'll see how this turns out, basically. We'll check Reddit threads and see how it goes. But I'm sure that the only people that are going to get banned are going to be real ragers. I hope there isn't too much like doxing, like basically where people banded together try to ban like a pro player or something who is not actually being a dick. But hopefully this works out in a good way. It's definitely good at least to show that like they're trying to do something about it, because I know a lot of people say that Valve isn't active, but so far in the things we've read so far, these are all very common complaints. These are quality of life features, but not that like super requested. This has been very requested. Last hit trainers, basically things like this, I think are nice for overall new players playing the game. I don't know if this matters very much, but things like the learn tab, an update there would be really, really good in my opinion. Language-based matchmaking. Okay, is another huge complaint for people. Vital role in destroying an ancient to help improve the lines of communication between mates. Your selected language is now a much greater factor when determining matchmaking. Again, this isn't necessarily going to fix things. They're saying it's a much greater factor. We don't know how much. Like I don't know when I queue like unranked, for example, I definitely get a lot more Spanish speakers in my game, which is not a big deal because I can speak a little Spanish, so I can communicate with them usually. But I don't know if Valve is putting them with me, or if those people are just selecting English that they find games faster. So, I mean, this is encouraging, but I don't know if it's going to make a big difference or not. And I don't know how much of a difference it'll make, but I don't know. It's encouraging. We'll see how it turns out though. But I think it's potentially good. The other downside obviously is that it'll take longer for people to find games now. I think in the past it would do things like try to make sure only your teammates spoke the same language, and it would match you against like a team of Spanish speakers, for example. But I don't know. I don't know how a much greater factor. We don't know how much this means, and hopefully it turns out well. But I do know it's a bother to a lot of people. Personally, I don't think it's a big deal in my experience, but that's mostly because people around my level are good enough at Dota. They don't really need to communicate that much. You can kind of convey just about everything you need with just. What are you chewing on? Is she chewing on? Okay, that's a dog squeaker. All right. I can convey pretty much everything with pings, but I totally understand that for the vast majority of the player base, it's not fun if you can't communicate, and that they do need to communicate to be effective and to enjoy the game. So, I don't think this is a bad thing in the slightest. Redeliver courier items. Good teammates help ensure the courier always gets where it goes. That's me. And with new hero delivery icons that appear on the courier interface when it's carrying someone else's items, it's easier than ever to be a good teammate. Does this just mean that like it's going to Razor, but there's Meepo items on it? Because I almost always resend this if I realize that I'm jacking it. Some players don't. But maybe this is just to make it more obvious. Like for me, if I press the button and it turns into my hero, or if I press the hero hotkey without looking at the icon, that I can now possibly look at the icon and be like, oh shit, somebody else's items are on it. Some people are less active at checking that, and probably cores because they're busy last hitting, whereas I'm playing support more often. So this is fine. I don't know if it'll make a big difference. So, all right, this was a huge complaint recently. Let's see how well it works. Custom game arcade revamp. Arcade tab has been revamped to help you find open custom game lobbies with greater ease. Peruse open lobbies from around the world, or use the list of the most recent lobbies in nearby regions. So one good thing about this upon first impact, I mean, basically the complaint was that in the past in Warcraft 3, you would just see whatever lobbies open, so you could play some random game and maybe it works out, you know. But now the complaint is that if you show like the 10 most popular games, people only want to play those basically. But so it's harder to get other games up. So but maybe this is still doing this, but at least it shows the number of lobbies, which is in some ways better. It also shows the local lobbies. That's kind of cool, I guess. So you can make friends this way. And it's more likely if it's a local lobby. Like, for example, if one of the top games is a Russian language game, like where it has like Russian characters and Russian voice lines and stuff that I don't recognize, local lobbies might be more specific to what I'm interested in. Why are you whining at me? Will you shut up if I give you a treat? She's just groaning. I haven't taken her to the dog park today, so... She's so needy, man. But I kind of like the local lobbies idea. No? Okay. I'll give you one more. I'll make you wait for this one, though. So I don't really know where I'm going to be able to set this. Maybe I'll put it on my microphone. Wait. Okay. Come here. Okay. Come here. Come get it. Oh, you knocked it down. Wait. Okay, just eat it. I have nowhere to set it that you guys can see. Oh no, there's a piece of like dog biscuit on my microphone and it's within the mesh. All right, should have used the pop filter. I could have set on the pop filter. It's all over. Okay, anyways. Yep, there's no more treats now. I know. Yep, now you're going to go sit over there and slowly groan and whine at me. But I kind of like the local lobbies. That looks cool. Let's check it out again. Maybe I can... Let's see what it looks like. Okay. And then... Okay, so... This is kind of interesting. You can see how many lobbies there actually are. This is, I'm guessing, ping to servers. There's way more games. Oh, I forgot about Spin TD. That used to be popular right when it came out. Oh, there's the groaning. I knew it was coming. Local lobbies. But it's nice to have a second chart because it's not just necessarily just what's the most popular game. It's other ones. So I guess that's overall pretty good. I like that. Oh, they're gonna talk more about it. Wait, no, I'm sorry. This is how this goes. Custom game matchmaking penalties. Ooh, they can opt their games into penalty enforcement mode. Players who ban it or fail to ready up for these custom games will receive matchmaking cooldowns in the arcade. This is super good. This happened a lot in custom games. Like, that's one of the benefits of them, was that you don't have to stay. So you could play it if you don't have enough time to play a Dota game and then leave. But it does ruin the game and for other people. Like, lately I've been doing 10v10 games with subs, and they're really fun, actually, because everybody basically wants to stay till the end, even if you're losing. Whereas in all, like, 10v10 Dota games, if you just play random ones, one team will just start leaving, and then once like 4 people are gone on your team, you're just like, well, no reason to play anymore. So this is cool. I like this. The game creators can set it. I assume Overthrow is still not going to have penalties on it. I assume. Maybe they should just set it to like rare or something. If you abandon like once every like 5 games or something, or leave it early once every 5 games, it doesn't penalize you or something. But we'll see what game set this. But I think this is a nice change. It could actually allow games to develop a little bit better now, and at least longer ones that are more enjoyable to play for long distances. Okay, dedicated server for all games now. This is really cool. This is great. So now basically, if somebody hosts the game, an unpopular game, and they live in some random place in the world, then it'll still be a dedicated server. This is great. This is really good. I don't know how much more money this costs for Valve. I have literally no idea, but I assume it's not that much more. I don't know. I have no idea. Who knows? Very interesting. Minimap neutral difficulty icons. Okay. This is not bad for new players, I would say. It's not too invasive. Helps for changes. I think that's one of the nicest things is that if they keep changing jungle camps and stuff, this will be an easy way to keep track of which things are which. Small triangle, medium, small, medium, large, obviously, and then the ancient one has a dot in the middle, kind of looks like an A, I guess. I like that. Nothing wrong with that. In the past, they were all triangles, I think, or something like that. Want to see if your party's prepared to queue before you push play and risk a failure. That is great. This happens a lot when I'm in queues with non-talkative people or people that go AFK after games a lot. I'm scared to press the ready button, so I don't know if they're actually ready or not. I'm sure this will become a meme in some chance to report for duty. Oh, it says who requested it too. Active friend filter. Show you the list of friends that have been playing recently to ensure that everyone you see is ready to join the fight. What does that mean? Is that so like if I have Dota open and I'm AFK, that doesn't show me, I'm guessing? It's probably the purpose. Color coded teleport. Color coded ring around them. Okay, so it'll show this color is based on which hero they are. I know I saw some people complain that some heroes looked a little too similar, so it's kind of hard to tell, but I'm sure it's overall just quality of life feature. Can you stop whining? You're over here having a really tough life, getting treats every couple hours. We fed you, we gave you 2 biscuits. She's just not grateful. Oh, there it is again. Yep, talking back now. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. Visual tower damage. So you chip away at the enemy's towers or watch from afar as they do the same to yours. The visual condition of the structures. Doesn't it do this already? Did they put it back in? Is it more obvious now? I'm not sure. I don't know. We'll see what it looks like in game. User interface. Okay. Okay, that's good. This is good, actually. There was a couple lately that I was like, what does this actually do? Like the puck one was like rapid fire dream coil. It's like, what the hell does that mean? What is rapid fire? It wasn't until I like ultied and did it in a demo that it made sense. That was it. Actually, it does basically your hero auto attacks every enemy that's dream coiled while the dream coil is active. But it says rapid fire dream coil. But there's no other like short way to make it obvious, right? So they needed to do this, I think, in the last patch. It's good that they changed it. This is very good. Commands now provide a notification. Okay, this is great. Does that mean everyone in the game will see the command? Does that mean you will see, hey, I just got commended, therefore I did a good thing? So I guess this will be, from the wording, now provide a notification to the player that includes your name. So if I commend somebody, aren't people just going to send like personal messages to their haters or to the people they hate? Like, hey man, I just wanted to commend you because you're a terrible axe. You are so bad, stop playing. Like, is that, or is it just going to say commended? Okay, it won't be a message. It'll just be like, axe commended you or something like that. So if you fight somebody or get mad with them, you can still commend them afterwards to like rub it in a little bit. But that doesn't feel that bad, right? It's like, haha, sucker, you gave me a commend. Runes can now be pinged via the minimap. Okay, that's good, rather than in person. That's like a nice little ease of use. Ability icons now show progress overlay for cast points when Splendor's pressed. Okay, I think this is not bad. Cast points are certainly a point of confusion for a lot of players, that they don't understand which heroes have longer ones, which ones have shorter ones. So showing when the cast point is will help a lot to help them figure out when they can cancel the animation. And that's a big gap difference between like lower or mid skill players with better, much higher skill players. Cast animations and canceling those is huge. So I think ultimately this is good. I wouldn't say this is as extreme as like the stun bar. Again, I think the stun bar is amazing. I think the stun bar is actually really needed for the game, especially just so people can tell what types of disables are hitting them. But again, we want the game to be a little bit easier to get into. They don't have to be all of these sort of artificial barriers of entry, and things like this I think are nice. I don't know how it's going to show, but I assume it'll be something like some kind of like a cooldown or something under your ability that you're trying to cast or something. Maybe something like that. Buildings now show an effect when getting hit under backdoor protection. I just hope it's not overwhelming. Maybe it'll look like World of Warcraft or whatever, where it'll be like a spin or something like that. I haven't played a while, but I think that's how it works. I just hope it's not going to be like a channeling bar above your health bar every single time you cast a spell, because a lot of spells are like really fast, so it'd just be overwhelming and obnoxious. Buildings now show an effect when getting hit under backdoor protection. Okay, so it's probably like some animation thing. Added spectating view for scan and glyph. What does that mean for... Probably means like the layer kind of stuff they were doing, which is like where they split the glyph and the scan in half. That way it shows like, it'll be like a circle cut in the middle, and then it'll show the scan and glyph for both teams instead of, it's probably something like that. So this is like another layer fix. Fix various disconnect issues that affected custom games. All right, let's see if that works. That's usually like 60% of players get disconnected at the start of every game. Improved input latency for low-end machines. Okay. Tooltip now shows status resistance. Did it not before? Maybe this is for units, not heroes. Lifetime and recent game stats are no longer shown to non-friends. Didn't it already do this? Unless you put it in your profile? I'm confused. I thought you couldn't see that stuff anymore. Oh, maybe it's like, you know what this probably means is the stuff next to the hexagon, where it's like GPM, stuff like that. Because I've seen people flame for that before, like, dude, you have like 300 average GPM or something. Like, shut the fuck up. They say things like that. So that's probably what it's talking about, I would guess. Things like how many rampages have you got, how many double kills, things like that. When match starts and when picking phase starts. Okay, like that, because I do know that happens sometimes, especially now that you get abandons for not picking and getting a random. When a game is unpaused, I like that as well. Very good. Added all click support to the sun moon to indicate how much time left is on day or night. Okay. Okay, these are new. Net worth, averages, average win rate, average damage dealt, average heals. Okay, something else to take pride in, I guess. Holding Alt now shows Sentry Ward AoE. Okay, that's good. Disassembly now allowed while dead. Okay. Base plus bonus. Okay. This is interesting. I noticed this the other day when I was writing a guide. Now I'm gonna have to change it a little bit. I was going over the UI stuff, and attack damage obviously shows your base, including stats, and then the green bonus. But now movement speed stuff, it's gonna show, like, I assume your hero's base movement speed, and then addition all of the things like win lace and the extra from percentage base movement speed. Is that how that works? Does that percentage, because isn't that percentage based on base? So like if you have brown boots and you have like a Yule Scepter, that gets multiplied by the 10% if you get a Mantis style or something, right? Both of those. It's not just the base. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Not sure how the math works, but I'm sure this will be a better way to make it obvious, which is a nice thing. It'll be a little bit more cluttered on your hero icon, but I think that's okay. The other issue is that it doesn't show your the reason this kind of sucks, honestly, if I'm understanding this right, is that now it's hard to know. Now you have to do math to know how fast you really are going, which is kind of stupid, because that's actually kind of an issue. Like, for example, if I'm like, it's good to figure out how much base movement speed I have so that I kind of know all the time. But if now I'm running away from somebody in the late game and I'm like, oh, I've got 310 movement speed plus 139. I'm like, am I faster than this other guy? And I click on him and it says like, I don't know. What if it says like 295 plus 143? It's like, am I faster? I feel like that's a little bit more difficult. Maybe I'm just complaining. Maybe this should be on Alt key. I don't know. I'll have to see what it looks like in games. Consumed tomes now show up on post-game screen. Okay, that's cool. Skills can be leveled up during a pause. Okay, I like that. Alt click during a pause. Yeah, dude. Letting people do stuff during pause, that's like easily one of my biggest pet peeves, is if the game's paused and I'm dead, or if the game's paused and I want to like level up or something like that. I can't click those buttons. It's annoying. Buying items while dead will now go to your inventory directly rather than the stash. Okay. That makes sense. Backend feature to be immediately disable a hero in the case of exploits. Okay, that's cool. That's a good idea. That way, they, like, if Chen can use Holy Persuasion on Roche rather than having to work on fixing the bug and then games be ruined in the meantime while people exploit it, they can just go in the back end and be like, no more Chen till we fix this. That's a good idea. That basically, you know why this is actually extremely important, is because if they are going to patch constantly every 2 weeks, and I was thinking about this when I was taking a shower actually, one of the recent criticisms to Valve is that they just patch to the live server now. They don't do test patches. But the reason, I think, was that nobody would go into the test client to actually try out the new patch, so they wouldn't get bugs enough. So now if they do patches every like 2 weeks, they're going to create bugs more often, and there's going to be more cases where something's really broken that ruins the game, and people will exploit it and it'll ruin game interest. But now at least if they can ban the hero temporarily, then it will at least allow for for these patches to be less of a headache in case they mess something up or if there's a really catastrophic bug. That's good. Added charge counts to item alerts. IG bottle. Okay, so you could say like I have 17 wand charges. I'll click Sentry Observer combo. That's fine. I mean, this is technically good, mostly for Sentry reasons. I'll click on temporary buffs like Rubik's Spell Steal. How much time remains? That's fine. Active states have now been replaced with the auto upgrade time. Okay. Highlighted player on the watch tab will always be the highest leaderboard rank pro if one exists in the match. Highlighted player in the watch tab will always be the highest leaderboard rank pro. Does that mean... So if you go to the leaderboards, there's like a bunch of games. Okay, so I think what this means is that it's the first one. So basically if you go to the watch tab, the first game is the highest rank pro. With that said, this guy's rank 1. Is this a different region? Yeah, this looks like, this might be like EU West. Maybe this is NA. But Iceberg, isn't that a European team? Maybe this is probably the highest average game is what it is. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily look like that either. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where Excalibur is living right now. But I like this because I know that I've seen like Slacks and Sheever appear here, and now at least it won't say. I'm pretty sure I do as well, but I've never checked. And at least, oh, Wagama's a pro player now. There's a lot of like, oh wait, these are my friends. I was like, why are these people here? I see. So these are like friend games. I didn't even know if you scrolled down you saw those. So showing top players is definitely, yeah, they're my friends. Yeah. That was a dog exhale just now. So this is fine. Pro players, pro players. Party dialogue now supports enter escape. Okay. Returning to base with your items after failing to deliver due to death. The courier will. Okay, that's really cool. I like that a lot actually. So if my inventory is full, it'll put it in my stash. After failing to deliver due to death. Oh, that's actually, this is so cool. So if I deliver items to myself, but as they deliver, I'm about to die and I don't have time to drop the item that I need to or something, and then I die, the courier, when it gets back to base, will put it in my stash, which is important because sometimes what happens is like you die, it doesn't transition, and then by the time it gets back to base, somebody grabs it and pulls it somewhere else on the map, then it's flying halfway to them before you realize, and then you have to wait for the courier to get back to you after you respawn. It's a pain in the ass. This is like a nice little quality of life fix. Wards will no longer combine from 2 different player sources when there's observer sentries. Okay, that's good. I like this change. Fixed all clicking an item on the courier, saying ready instead of courier. An item on the courier instead of ready. Okay. Can't wait for Slack. Slacks is excited about this one. Colorblind support for power treads. That's a small, smart idea. Including the color of the agility icon to match. Okay. Sell items for levers. 5 minutes, hell yeah. Get wrecked AFK players. Okay. Oh yes, it's back. Coach pings and map drawings, they're back. Fix coach chat icon. Fix coaches having broken hero selection screen. I've seen all of these recently. When you out of your stash immediately when you die. Now, okay, that's good. I've encountered this. I have to like move items around to make it work. Minimap inaccuracies. I remember seeing some people noticing that. From friends you've muted. Okay. First play kill tracker being incorrect. Oh, ability to F. No, gotta focus again. Fixed a bug causing ability pings to not work reliably. Don't care, but that's cool. Fix issues with the Inferno Blade causing multiple procs from abilities. Oh, okay. So apparently, if you had Swashbuckler and Inferno Blade, it would cast Inferno Blade like 6 times or something, 4 times or something like that. Which technically is bad because it would burn a lot of your mana. It would burn 40 per hit. It would perma-stun you for like a second and a half, which is kind of cool, but it would only refresh the Inferno Blade. Although I think it does initial damage as well. So it probably wasn't half bad. Basically, it's like a bugged interaction. Okay. Now, new hero list now allows all heroes that don't have a 3 diamond complexity rating. New hero list for new players now allows all heroes that don't. Okay, so that means if you're new to the game, you can play all heroes that are 1 or 2 star or 2 diamond complexity rating, which I'm guessing before it was only 1 diamond that they would allow. So they still don't let you do 3 diamond complexity, which is basically the complicated heroes, which I think is okay. But at least they allow, I'm guessing, 60%. I don't know what the distribution is. Okay, that's good. Updated default hero builds. Okay, that's good. We'll see if those are a lot better. Sometimes unranked games are showing ranked medals in the post-game screen. I feel like I've seen this sometimes. Maybe not. Okay. Okay. Summoned units weren't speaking. What does that mean? Okay. Okay. Most of these are just real unimportant. They're good though. Fix speed while dragging during broadcasting. Yeah, okay, whatever. All right, gameplay. That was a lot of quality of life. I mean, these are all honestly very good. These are all mostly very, very good changes, but they're definitely a little boring to read. Okay. Walking into shop range now clears backpack item move cooldowns. Okay, this is really nice. Okay, so basically what this means is that let's say I want to TP somewhere, and I take my TP from my backpack and throw it into my inventory, but then I realize there's a shop 2 feet from me, and if I would have just moved it there while within shop range, then I don't get a backpack issue. But now I can throw it in, walk near to the shop, and then it'll be instantly off cooldown. So hypothetically, this is kind of crazy in some ways. Like this is a quality of life increase, but it also means that fighting near a shop is insane if you have more than 6 items. If I have 9 items, like BKB refresher, stuff like that, I could like go in shop range, cast Ravage, refresh, cast Ravage, swap refresher out for a BKB, instantly press the BKB if I'm in the shop range. And then I could swap the BKB out and pick up like a Daedalus from my backpack as well. Hypothetically. Very, very unlikely, but certainly there's going to be cases where this is abusable. But I like the change. I think it's potentially abusable though. No one's going to do that? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, okay, BKB tied. You got me. My one example, I used a hero that has Kraken Shell. But with that said, bitch, you can't dispel Hex anymore. Who's wrong now? I might want a BKB on Tide. You never know. Okay. Walking a shop range now clears backpack item move. Not to mention, you could be broken. There's so many reasons that it's okay to have BKB on Tide in some situations. Radiant Roche fights. I mean, the shop is, yeah, I guess you could probably argue this is a Radiant Roche advantage, but it might be far enough that it doesn't matter. We'll see though. It's potentially scary. I think my first ask is I would love if I could hold alt and see the shop range now, because now I can press alt to know exactly where it is. I think that would be kind of nice. Maybe that's asking too much. Fix Lincoln Sphere, providing 5 HP regen instead of displayed 5.5. I had no idea. So Lincoln's has actually been nerfed this whole time, which is funny because it's actually better now than it was, and it was really popular. The item just got nerfed in recipe cost, so it's actually going to be better now by 10%, 10% more regen. Soul Catcher's Talent reducing cooldown by 5 seconds instead of the displayed 6. Okay, I didn't know it did that. That's a Shadow Demon, the second ability. Did not know that. Fix many out-of-date tooltips. L10 stomp damage threshold not working properly. You know, was this intended? I feel like people have been getting echo stomped and they get like damaged for a long time and they don't wake up. So we'll see what the difference is. But it does feel like, it kind of feels like a regular stun now instead of like before it was like any damage they took and they wake up. I think they added some threshold. I sort of remember that, but I don't remember how much it was. This wasn't working properly. That kind of makes sense because the few times I got it, it felt really underwhelming. That's mostly because I'm bad though. Homing missile taking 1 extra hit than intended to kill. Who knew? Improved visual effect for shrapnel. I actually really like that because it's really hard to tell right where the edge of it is. Added allied visual effect to indicate which unit is the target for tough snowball. Okay, I like that. It's helpful for allies. That's a buff to Tusk, though. A little buff. Add a visual effect for the Death Pact buff. This is also going to make Tusk Snowballs more terrifying. If your ally doesn't, you don't trust them. No, not there. No. No. Death Pact buff. That is the Klink's ulti. I think that's a good idea because it's very easy to forget that this exists. Test of Faith, being unable to target Ancients. That's the second skill for Chen. It's a pure damage nuke. Fix Lycan Wolf's placement when upgraded with the talent. Does that mean that, like, if you spawned 4 wolves that they'd surround you and block you in or something? I'm not sure how that works. Fix Power Cog's damage source. I'm guessing that means it comes from Clockwork now and not the cog itself. So I'm guessing if you Blade Mail and run into cogs, you can kill Clock now. Gust, giving neutral creeps permanent phased movement. Really interesting. That's Drow's Gust. Marksmanship Scepter projectile was undodgeable. I did not know that, but it's not that. That's not the case anymore. Fear not affecting primal split units properly. So buff to what's her name? Probably makes sense. They probably forgot to do them even because they're like hero type units or something. But it shouldn't work on the stone one, right? Because it's magic immune, I think. Added a psionic trap buff counter, so you can see what the numbers are probably. Vision projectiles from blocking neutral creep spawns when moving over the spawn box. Fix various vision projectiles from blocking neutral creep spawns. Oh, this means Clockwork Rocket. I remember you used to be able to do this. You could shoot a rocket. The rocket flare when it hit and have like the vision, that didn't block it. But if the rocket itself was over a neutral camp when it spawns, you could block it. So if you were, I remember doing that a little bit. I practiced it, trying to shoot a rocket as Clockwork from the offlane to block the small camp. And if you did that, you could basically permanently block the camp without actually having to put a ward there. But it was pretty hard to do because the timing window was low. I don't know. I'm guessing this is also going to mean, does things like does Sigil block neutral camp spawns? I don't know if it does or not. But I'm sure there's other ones other than Clockwork Rocket. That was a feature, not a bug. I mean, I kind of agree. It was kind of cool, but it's so small. I think it's all right to move it out. And depending on what this means, various vision projectiles. If it's something like Frozen Sigil, should it really block neutral spawns? Probably not. But I'm not sure if it, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I'm not sure. Fix some rare cases where items don't combine when arriving from courier. Spirit Vessel healing through Ice Blast. Really? Piercing various damage blocking abilities. Okay, because it does magic, so it probably was things like, maybe like Flame Guard or something. Maybe it didn't block that correctly. If I had to guess, I would say that the damage over time that Spirit Vessel did not have any issues here. But what probably happened was the percentage one that it did probably did go through these two things, so it's probably partially blocked. That's my guess. I have no idea if that's actually right, but that's my guess based on this here. Like, how could they mess that up? It was probably because they didn't code the percentage one the same. Initial guess. I have no idea if I'm right. Fix familiars not gaining Grave Chill buff if cast while in stone form. They get the Grave Chill buff? Is this real? If I cast Grave Chill on an enemy, my familiars gain Grave Chill? I didn't even know that. I actually didn't even know this. Oh, the sponsor logo blocks? You're right. So what should I do? Oh, there we go. Is that better? What's the matter? You want to read every single instance of fixed? How about I just do this? Boop. 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 Thank you to the sponsors, Gamer Sensei and Dotabuff. Okay. I didn't know this happened. Technically this is not a big deal because stone form would be when they hit the ground and stun them. So it's like they can't attack with Grave Chill, but at least this way you know that if you cast Grave Chill while they're in stone form, that it'll be on them when they come out. So kind of a small buff, tiny buff. Vengeful Spirit, untargetable illusion no longer appears on the minimap. Okay, that's good. That's probably really overwhelming. I've never noticed that before, but I think I've noticed it once. Like, oh wow, there's heroes everywhere. There's like, oh, there's X heroes chasing X hero in a weird place. But fixed a Dream Coil Refresher Orb regression. Probably something like, I have no idea. Not sure what that means. Fixed Shackle Shot with status resistance. So apparently it was going through. That's interesting. Fixed Nature's Prophet, Greater Treants not getting the proper bonus from the talent. Did not know. Interaction with status resistance. Okay. Strafe disjointing allied projectiles. Oh, that's interesting. What's like an allied projectile? I'm trying to think of some. Most allied projectiles are instant. Am I crazy? Oracle Q is a good example. Dazzle Heal's instant. Miscoil, that's a good one too. Yeah, Miscoil and Fortune's End. Necro Heal. Yeah, that's true. That could be it. Thick Strafe Disjoint not working with Bedlam and Marksmanship Scepter. Not working with Bedlam and... Oh, this is the basically the bouncing ulti from Drow, where it bounces her arrows. And this is obviously Dark Willow's attack. Attack's really fast, so it's not a big deal. Yeah, Strafe seems kind of interesting. Like I remember reading the change, but I feel like I haven't seen it used too specifically. There's a lot of I've seen it obviously dodge attacks, physical attacks, but it's kind of hard to selectively choose to like Magic Missile is a good example. I'd love to dodge Magic Missile with Strafe. That'd be really cool, but for a lot of heroes, it's kind of hard to make it work. Is that the Venge counter? You just pick Clink's Strafe, dodge, the stun every time. Penitence now functions as a proper projectile. Apparently it was not dodgeable before or something. It used to not be a projectile, then I think they added a travel time, and I guess it wasn't actually made up a real projectile. Another strike issues with status resistance. I don't know what that means. Probably it affects them less long after it ends or something. Probably ended or lasted a little bit too long. Fixed visual bug with Holy Persuasion buff being dispellable. Okay. Focus fire damage working incorrectly on the first hit after changing targets. Oh, interesting. So you'd focus fire somebody, but then change targets and attack, and you would still have the damage reduction. So just a bug. Bash talent working on non-primary targets. Okay. So you'd focus fire somebody and then start bashing other people. Fixed rare case where Javelin would sometimes proc on buildings. I sort of feel like that happens. Or with Monkey King Bar, right? I think it works like that. Troll, Warlord, Fervor, Legacy Keys. Oh, Ability Draft. Vengeful Spirits, Nether Swap. That's great. That's really fun, actually. So the reason this just got added and why it probably wasn't before was because of the Ags Nether Swap, where it creates an illusion of your hero. So this is probably potentially very good now in Ability Draft, I would say. I would say it's very good, actually. Because Nether Swaps are a really good ganking tool. And a lot of ultimates are either like big teamfight AoE, but they're not always like very easy single target kill that guy gank kind of things. So I actually really like it as an ultimate edition. I think it can be very useful in Ability Draft. I don't know why it's down here and not with the other Ability Draft. Oh, I guess we're in a different section now. But this is a really nice addition, I think. And you could grab, it's another Ags skill, so it's always nice to have an Ability Draft. Fix visual bug when attempting to place a ward. I don't know what that means. Incorrect stat tooltips makes sense. Punch effects not being destroyed reliable when Rubik steals the spell. I assume this is similar to when in Ability Draft if somebody gets Walrus Punch that it puts this like weird green aura on you all the time. Yeah, I think that's what happened actually, because it's like he would go around punching people, and whenever you get punched, you just have this like green aura on you permanently. It's probably like the Walrus Punch thing. So the effect wasn't being destroyed because it wasn't Tusk punching you. It was somebody else, is my guess based on the wording. So this is good. This is basically an Ability Draft fix as well. I'm happy to see this. Definitely more of an issue in Ability Draft than it is in pro games, because it's probably a lot more rare in pro games. But either way, yeah, still a bad thing to happen in pro games. Fix fake projectiles like Phantom Lancer and August Irons causing strafe charges to be consumed. Does that mean... Why is it fake projectiles? I don't know what that means. Because it's an illusion? I'm not sure what that means. Maybe it means like the net. It looks like a projectile, but it's not really. Something like that. Not sure. Fix Illuminate channel not working correctly with the channel requires stop option. Okay. Courier Shield Legacy Key. Spirit Visual Effects sticking around after Dispel. Okay, that's good. Stampede not working properly with Monkey King. This probably means that if Monkey King is in a tree and Centaur has Ags, that by casting his ultimate as Centaur, that instantly Monkey King will become stampeded himself, destroy the tree, and stun himself for 4 seconds because he destroyed his own tree. Now what will probably happen is the Monkey King will destroy the tree but not be stunned for 4 seconds. But his allies and Pangoliers and stuff can still run through the tree that Monkey King is in and break them. but unless it's Egg Stampede, then it probably won't. Various attack range modifier related bugs. Courier bugs will carry in bottle. Storm Spray level 25 talent, creating extra remnants when skilled during ball lightning. Tempest Aura with status resistance. What is Tempest Aura? I don't remember that one. Tempest Aura. Illusion Thrown Nets and Phantom Strike. Oh, okay. So the other fake projectiles would be the other Phantom Lancers throwing out Spirit Lance, because obviously they all shoot Spirit Lance. Therefore, those count as projectiles and would cause Strafe to be consumed. Very interesting. So many bugs with Strafe. Very, very cool. How, especially the Phantom Lancer one. I never would have thought about that. But like, oh, here's a projectile that isn't real, but is coded as a projectile, but is coded to not be a real projectile. But they didn't think to have Strafe dodge that. That's very, very interesting aspect of a bug. Very cool. I don't Tempest Aura of Tempest, unplayable Tempest Aura, neutral bird tornado. Okay. No, that doesn't make sense. Not sure. Fixed tether pull range, breaking prematurely when using cast range bonuses. Okay, so if you get a cast range increase on IO now, the tether range is longer. So you could cast it longer, but it would still break earlier. That's very cool. So potentially an Aether Lens. You could stack Aether Lenses on IO and be tethered from super far away. That'd be really cool. Expensive, but very cool. Fixed no field toggle interrupting channeling. Okay, I like that. Fixed adaptive strike talent ignoring cast range bonuses. Okay, so that's like if you get the multi-strike adaptive strike and you get a Aether Lens that you could hit multiple people from. They would all, the multi-shot would all be affected. Fixed Rubik using Strafe causing him to dodge his own spells steal. See, there's another thing that's so random. If he has Strafe on, which is super random, and he casts Spell Steal, and the little animation comes back where the spell's coming back to him, he dodges it himself by using Strafe, even though that animation is literally just like a small delay to the spell being stolen, and it doesn't actually do anything other than delay the time it takes for him to get the spell. And the fact that he could dodge that with Strafe is so interesting. That's, I don't know. I could just talk about this shit forever. Fixed no field talent, not taking effect until toggled. Is that real? Wow, so if you get no field, but you wouldn't toggle it yet, you wouldn't even have no field anymore? So if I skill no field and I don't toggle it, I have no field. Is that how it worked? I just played Rubik yesterday. I think I toggled it pretty early, though. Oh, the talent. Oh, okay, thank you. The talent, not the actual no field. So it's the 5% one, which kind of makes sense, right? Because it probably wasn't coded to update it. It was like, it's already on, so you haven't turned it back on again. It probably worked if you died and respawned, for example, or toggled. But now it works right away. Okay, that makes sense. Fixed Treant, Overgrowth, Scepter upgrade, still applying Scepter after dropping the item. I did not know that. So you could buy it and sell it, hypothetically. That's actually probably worth it if you could have. If you could buy Ags and sell it right away, I feel like I would want to do that in some cases. Because all it gives you is raw stats. And if the upgrade's still applied, no matter what, I feel like that's a decent investment. You'd lose like what? A bunch of some mana pool, some overall stats, but you get 2,000 to buy something else you really want. You can basically buy Ags, sell it, get 2,000 gold, and spend that 2,000 gold to try to get Refresher or Octarine or something faster. I feel like that might have been valuable. You can't do it anymore, though. Linked Sphere going into cooldown if Homing Missile hits you while you're Cycloned. Okay. Delay between Pit of Malice intervals being affected by status resistance. Does that mean if you had high status resistance, that Pit of Malice the intervals would also be lowered? I'm guessing is what that means. So basically, it'd be a better ability against status resistance heroes. But the initial route wouldn't be as good either. So it's like the route would go down, but the delay between each would go down. So technically, you're still rooted a lot, but it's worse now. Flat Cannon Visual Bug showing non-primary projectiles as carrying proc effects. Non-primary projectiles. Okay. I did not know it did that. But yeah, it's good they did this because it makes it less confusing for players that don't understand. Stifling Dagger talent ignoring cast range bonuses. Okay. Chemical Rage talent malfunction when casting the Chemical Rage buff. When refreshing. So does that mean like if if I get the Chemical Rage talent and I use a refresher and recast it, that it would be bugged or something. I don't know. Fix Rubric Illusion, copying the incorrect state of null field. Fix Snowball Vision duration, being affected by status resistance. Okay. Improve bot behavior for choosing lanes. Improve logic for bots choosing to walk past towers for runes. Hunter in the Night versus Mines. Fix certain items like Ripper's Reel for Pudge being visible while hexed. Don't know what that means. Fix status resistance, reducing Rolling Thunder's timeout debuff. Oh, okay. Is this fair? I guess this is fair. So like before, basically, I would just do based on, oh, they're stunned, I can't hit them again. But now if you use it against a tiny, you could stun. It's like the same thing as the Pit of Malice thing. It's technically, status resistance is now much better against things that perma-stun you, like that. Because now you still can only stun him every 1.5 seconds, but his time stunned is going to be less. Whereas before you could still make it permanent. It was just you have to do more often. Check for AFK found 19 players. Okay, cool. This is good for custom games creators. Okay, this is good. Added Lua function to get access to a private key string undedicated the players cannot see. I don't know what this means. I'm sure some custom game person. I know the custom game people complained a lot on Reddit saying that like everything was ruined. Hopefully this means a lot. I don't know if it does or not. Actually, a lot of these things. Another thing. Disable the ability to use Panorama JavaScript console to change projected settings while playing normal games of Dota. Okay, to change projected settings. So this would be something like zoom out. So it's basically like a cheating fix right here. Items will continue to deliver. The inventory is full, but the items would stack. Okay. Courier buffs seem purgeable. That's interesting. You could probably use like Shadow Demon ulti on a courier and kill it or something. Even though they're ultra fast, maybe. Okay. Fix consumed Aghanim Scepters, giving old values of health and mana. So that would be the Alchemist Ags. It would give the previous ones. But it's only an ARDM? Was that like they didn't update ARDM to this one thing? Consumed or fixed consumed Moonshard Night Vision component not working properly for respawning heroes. Tempest Double and Spirit Bear. So these were just bugs in ARDM. So that means if I eat a Moonshard now in ARDM that I get to keep my Moonshard, I'm guessing. And that Tempest Doubles also get the Moonshard, and that if I feed a Moonshard to my Spirit Bear and it respawns, it still has it. But then I assume if I die on Lone Druid and I get a new hero, obviously my Spirit Bear doesn't have it. More importantly, though, is if you eat a Moonshard in ARDM, you get to keep the Moonshard now, basically. The other thought was that if I play Legion Commander, do I get to keep my dual damage? If I get dual damage but then die and get a new hero, do I keep dual damage? I think it makes sense that you don't, personally. I think that would be way too overpowered. But I'm definitely okay with something like Moonshard. If they can farm, if they have a gold advantage and they buy a Moonshard and put it on their hero, they should be able to keep that, in my opinion. That seems fair. But getting a bunch of dual damage because you happen to get Legion Commander, that'd be super broken. Okay, this all makes sense. And now to the patch. Either way, a lot of really good quality life changes. I feel like as many big threads as I've seen, that custom game support is not quite strong enough. But these are certainly a nice step, I think, with the changing the layout and maybe adding penalty abilities and add AFK issue fixes and disconnect issues. I hope that makes an impact in the custom game stuff. But we'll see. We'll see soon. I'll have to talk to maybe a custom game creator to really know. To the game. All right, wards now require constant 2 hits to kill, both Observer. This is really nice. I love this. And as a support, if you're early in the game, especially like if you're CM or something, it takes like 4 or 5 hits to kill a ward. It's awful. Especially if you're warding anywhere near enemies in the late game, it is the most scary shit ever. 2 attacks, completely fair. But like 3 to 4 hits is suicide. If these cores have like blink daggers and force staffs and mobility abilities, it's like impossible to deward. But 2 hits I think is super fair. I think this is a very nice change. Still is a benefit to having Quelling Blade in battle for you. Can instantly kill them or eating them with with a Tango. But 2 hits to kill, I think, nice change. Tier 1 tower armor aura increase from 1 to 2. Oh, I was like 2 to 1? What? Why does it say increased? 1 to 2 is I think this is ultimately good, so it's a little bit harder to dive. This is like, what, a 5 or 6% survivability increase from physical, from full HP to nothing. So it's not much, but it helps. Bounty Rune's base experience reduced from 25 to 0. I actually think this needed to happen, believe it or not. I think Bounty Runes gave way too much experience, actually. They gave way too much. So it's still going to give a lot of experience, but it's 25 less now. So the first one you get... Is this base experience based on the 2-minute mark or the 0-minute? I know the 0-minute mark one doesn't give you experience, but does the... Because I know the other ones are like, it gives you 2 gold per minute. So the first bounty rune you grab gives you, what, 52 gold, right? So does that mean that the first bounty rune at 2 minutes, or is the second technically, does that mean it gives you not 0 experience? I assume so. I assume that it does. But it will give you 25 less. But I don't know exactly how much it goes up. But basically, the bounty runes from like minutes 2, 4, 6, 8, basically the first like 10 to 20 minutes of bounty runes are going to give moderately less experience. So this is a pretty big deal. Because if this is at least a 2-minute bounty rune, you could grab 2 bounty runes at 2 minutes and be halfway to level 2. So this might be a nerf to roaming, is one way to look at it. Small nerf. Gold growth increase, but they're going to give way more gold though. This is like insanely more gold. So late game bounty runes are going to be a shitload of gold. What's like the math difference? All right, let's see if I can do some real easy math. So let's just assume that it starts at the 0-minute mark, not at anything else. So if we're 20 minutes into the game, 20 minutes into the game, the bounty runes are going to give, what, 90 gold or something like that? But now it's going to be times 280 plus the base of 50. Hard math, 130. So that's pretty big, a pretty big difference. That's a pretty huge difference. So bounty runes are actually going to be a lot of gold in the late game. Especially like, what, 60 minutes in? Times 4 plus 50. This is a shitload of gold. 60-minute game, bounty runes are worth... You can grab a pair of bounty runes, and you get 600 gold. Just shy of 600 gold. That seems a little insane to me. Am I wrong? 4 per minute? I'm just double checking because people are saying math jokes. 4 per minute times 60. That's a buttload of gold. Plus the base of 50. 290 gold times 2. 2 bounty runes and you got 580 gold. That's so much. That's so much gold. It's a 60-minute game though. And in a lot of ways I think this is good because it would allow players like supports especially if you're a weaker player. If you in the late game you can just run around picking up bounty runes, that feels so much better than I mean, each one of these is a fucking gank. Like 2 bounty runes, that's like every bounty rune you pick up at 60 minutes is like getting a successful gank is what that's like. It's so much. Roshan now has 25% status resistance. I think this is fine. Is it what who abuses this the most? Dark Willows, Marana's kind of. I mean, disabling him is not that big of a deal. I guess it's a bigger deal for things like Medallion, Slardar ulti, things like that. Those kinds of armor reductions. I feel like that's the most significant. Stunning Roshan has never really been that big of a deal. You could argue it matters against heroes that have like a lot of attack speed reductions, perhaps. Maybe like Jakiro, but it's probably not a big deal. All pick drafting time per hero selection. Oh, one thing I actually really like about this, now that I think about it, is that if somebody rolls into the Rosh Pit when when Roshing is happening and they take a fight there, so like if I blink in Rosh Pit and I Ravage, that means Roshan is going to be stunned for less than the heroes are. So Roshan will be able to fight back a little earlier. So if somebody hops in and burrow strikes the entire enemy team, but also catches Roshan, the Roshan might potentially turn and hit that Sand King right before he gets the last hit. And that'll be before the rest of the team can react. So there is going to be a time at some point that Roshan is going to slap and bash somebody right before the Rosh is taken. And because of that stun, allows the other team to turn and kill that hero that tries to interrupt it. It's probably going to be super, super, super rare because basically it would be the Sand King would have to initiate. Not quite kill Roshan. Roshan be low enough for him to try to auto-attack to finish Roshan. And then Roshan also get a bash. So it's like really limited set of circumstances. But unless it's a tiny, yeah, you're right. Or like a centaur that has a lot of strength already. But most heroes are sitting around between 10 to 15% status resistance in the mid game. So this is a very healthy status resistance, and it still won't work against things like Chronosphere or Black Hole. But for a lot of other AOE stuns, yeah, this could be a big deal. I don't think this is a bad thing. It basically it's a slight nerf to heroes that might use disables of some kind or debuffs to affect Roshan in a rapid way. I'll pick drafting time. It may be a buff to just raw damage and lifesteal though. Drafting time per hero selection reduced from 30 to 25. I think that's probably fine. I always feel a little flustered when I'm picking, but I think it's probably okay. Item changes. Aeon Disc health threshold reduced. I would argue this is a buff to the item. I do see pro players buying it sometimes in smart situations. I have yet to purchase it in a game, I think. I don't think I've ever bought it yet. Not saying I shouldn't, but I like that they reduced it a little bit. That way you can't just be barely damaged and the Aeon Disc is popped and wasted. But I don't think I've bought it yet, ever. Battle Fury. God, it did? Oh, this all makes sense now. No wonder everybody bought Battle Fury on PL. This makes so much sense. I had no idea that worked. Okay. So this is like, that's why the item was OP. I didn't realize that. I just assumed it was like, they like the regen, it makes you farm faster. I did not know that it gave bonus. Quelling used to, but they removed it. Am I crazy? I'm pretty sure Quelling Blade used to give bonus damage to illusions. That was like back in like the Arteezy and Naga days. And then they removed that. It doesn't, the illusions don't cleave, but the Battle Fury itself means that you do, like it gives you, what, 45 damage, 50 damage or something? But it also gave you a huge damage increase against creeps. That was percentage based. Basically like old Quelling Blade. It was like a percentage damage increase, whereas now Quelling Blade is a raw damage increase. It only gives you like, what, 24 damage to melee and 12 to ranged or something like that. But it used to be like, oh, it gives you deal 20% more damage to creeps. It was something like that as a melee hero. So everybody would keep it late game because it increased your damage so much against neutrals that you would kill neutrals much faster. They changed it to a raw value, so it's still good early game but not good late game. But Battle Fury is just good at all stages of the game because it increases the damage you deal to neutrals by a shitload. Now it's down to 50%, which I think is fair because 60% damage increase against neutrals is a shitload. Thank you, Windows. I appreciate that. But the fact that your illusions also got a 60% damage increase against neutrals is kind of crazy. With that said, Battle Fury gave your illusions no damage other than this, because it does raw damage and illusions don't get raw damage and they don't get the cleave. So Battle Fury essentially is useless for, it's not useless for illusion heroes, but it gives no benefits to your illusions other than the fact that your HP and mana are going to be higher because of the regen that Battle Fury gives you. And the fact that it'll still make you as your hero farm faster. So we'll most likely instantly see Battle Fury not be purchased on PL anymore. I honestly did not realize it gave that much damage to the illusions. Which is probably still better than like a Diffusal Blade. So if I buy a Diffusal Blade, it's like, what, 20 Inter or 20 Agi or something like that? I don't remember what it's 30. I don't remember. 20 Agi. And your illusions will burn 16 mana and 50, is it what, 80%? So your illusions would deal like, oh, this is a hard one, guys. 10%, 1.6, 3.2. It's just weird math, that's all. So it's like 12.8. So Diffusal Blade will, from the mana burn alone, give your illusions 12.8 damage against somebody with mana. And they benefit from the 20 Agi if you're an agility hero. But most illusions only gain like, what, 25% of that damage, so it's more like 5. So Diffusal Blade would give your illusions like, we'll say about 20 damage against units with mana. Whereas if you have Battle Fury and your hero is dealing like, we'll say 100 damage, or we'll say like 80 damage, or we'll say 100 damage to make the math easier with Battle Fury, and they deal 25 damage, it would get 60% more of that, which would be about 12.5 or something like that. So it used to give your illusions maybe like 12.5 damage per hit against non-hero units. So it would be good. And as the game went on to the super late game, it would get much, much better as you build more agility items. Because then any agility item that you buy in the future, it doesn't only give you damage to your illusion, but that also gets multiplied by Battle Fury. So that's probably why it was good on illusions. That makes a lot of sense, actually. This is all cleared up now. So I was talking, when people had asked me how I would nerf Battle Fury, I would say reduce the mana per second. But really, this makes tons of sense. I was definitely off here. I didn't realize that it gave damage to illusions. So makes sense. We will see Battle Fury no longer on heroes like TB and on PL probably. I don't think we'll see it on them anymore. Because now it's a 4,000 gold item that does nothing to increase the speed at which you kill creeps. And therefore, it's better to actually buy items that actually or that are agility. So we'll see item builds change a little bit. Black King Bar cooldown rescaled, so it's 70 at all levels. I actually kind of like this because in ultra late game situations, there's a lot of heroes that have cooldown. Oh, I guess. Okay, so I would argue it this way. This can still be reduced. It's not going to be 70 no matter what. It's not irrelevant of cooldown reductions. But if it's 55 seconds and you're playing like Shadow Fiend late game and you've got a 40% cooldown reduction perk, all of a sudden this Black King Bar is a stupidly low cooldown. Something like, I don't know, 55 times 0.6. I have a 33-second cooldown BKB with a 5-second duration. That's so stupidly low. That's like every fight. Whereas now if it's 70 and all I have is like the 40% cooldown, it's a 42-second. It's a really big difference. So I think this is ultimately very good. Because cooldown, like this, when there's no cooldown reductions is fine. But yeah, getting a bunch of cooldown reduction, it gets kind of ridiculous. Same thing for like Drow Rangers, things like that. Not that Drow Ranger doesn't need like a late game nerf, but Blink Dagger cooldown is increased to 14 seconds. I think this is alright. Just because of cooldown perks again. Maybe Blink is too good lately. Mango Mana Restore increased a little bit. That's fine. People don't really buy mangoes to eat them anymore. Fairy Fire heal increase. It's been a long time. I think Fairy Fire was barely buffed this whole time. I'm surprised it's taken this long, but certainly a rare item. Force Staff. Okay, so the time it takes for the full distance to be traveled increased by a little bit. It's not much, but it's a pretty big increase. So a half-a second to get to safety now. Hurricane Pike, same thing. Cooldown increased moderately. That's fine. Nice way to nerf the item without like being really detrimental. Trent spoiled me on this one. Meteor Hammer cooldown reduced. So it's much better for pushing now. What if there's abuse for cooldown perks? Get about 50% on some select hero and you have like a 14-second Meteor Hammer cooldown. Like late game Drow Ranger. Don't attack the towers. Just throw Meteor Hammers on it. But I actually do like this. I found when I have bought the item on heroes that can't push well, like Undying, Disruptor, stuff like that, it's actually felt like I can Meteor Hammer, but it's once in a great while. Feels like an ultimate kind of. So I think 28 seconds feels a little bit more reasonable. Might make the item more valuable. Soul Ring nerfed, which makes sense. Item's very good, especially on strength heroes. It's good on a lot of heroes. Just a little bit more expensive. But this is definitely costly because this delays you in the early game, especially if you're playing like support or something. It's a lot of sunk cost, but the item is great. Spirit Vessel recipe cost increased. This item is very, very good. I definitely underestimated it, mostly for the anti-heal that it provides. That part's really good. I really like it for that reason. Whenever I buy it on cores, it feels like a terrible mistake, and it's further going to be the case here. On supports, I think they can afford this recipe cost increase because the base components that it gives, which is health and movement speed, are valuable. And the minus healing is basically what you're paying for here. And I think that is a good thing I think it's okay to raise the price on that. Especially because bounty runes are now going to be the big bucks. All right, hero changes. Alchemist getting a buff because nobody plays them anymore. But to be honest, with the bounty rune changes, like why would people just not play Alchemist support all the time now? Like Alchemist support is literally just going to be a thing because of bounty runes. I feel like he's going to get really popular again, and then people are going to have to nerf Grievel's Greed for bounties. So I played this in a pub the other day, and you just go stun level 1, then you get your Grievel's Greed level 2, and then you can go like stun again, and then acid spray, stun, acid spray, stun, acid spray, get your ult. Like you only need 1 Grievel's Greed, and you get 2 times the gold payout for runes now. So what was that, like 290 gold late game? And now we're going to double that. So he's going to get 600 gold. Is it that much? I feel like the numbers were... It was like 4 per minute, right? So 4 times 60 plus 50. He always gets times 2 that. So, but like late game at 60 minutes, Alchemist will get 1,060 gold. I'm sorry, it's 1,100. 1,160 gold every time he grabs a set of bounty runes. It's fucking insane. He could like grab 2 bounty runes, teleport across the map, grab the other 2, and he's made 2,000 gold. That's actually bonkers insane. It's actually bonkers insane. There's like no excuse for an Alchemist not giving his teammates Aghanim Scepters anymore, in my opinion. I feel like there's no way that shouldn't happen now. It's so much gold. You can combo with Alch Stun and Meteor Hammer. That's a good point. That could work. I wouldn't necessarily buy Meteor Hammer on him, though. I still would... I mean, maybe there's some games, but... Last time I tried it, I just went all like tanky items because they had a lot of physical damage. I went like Greaves, Solar Crest... Bought like Vlad's or something. I don't remember what my other items were, but I built a lot of armor in that game. But I could see Meteor Hammer working, especially because the hero has, it's basically what, int strength gives you HP regen, mana regen, which are all kind of things he needs, and helps you hit buildings, push towers, which he kind of has trouble with. You can kill creeps, fight heroes, but not actually kill towers. Anyways, Alk support is going to be a thing now. The cooldown of the ability, I believe, is... I do remember that the cooldown felt a little underwhelming. I think it's something like 17 seconds. Yeah, 16 seconds at level 4. So if that reduces it by 10... 8, excuse me. 8 seconds is pretty big. That's an 8-second cooldown for a 4-second stun. If you get a Solar Crest... if you get a Octarine, you have a 6-second cooldown on a 4-second stun. That's really, really good. But I actually like that because the nuke kind of craps out late game, especially even if you get the damage late game and you get plus 400 damage and stealing 800. It doesn't deal that much late game, but I think Elk support is the thing now. I'm definitely going to try that very, very soon. Yeah, roaming Elk is certainly buffed. It doesn't have to be roaming, but you could just say support. I think both will work. Elk support is certainly a thing, without a doubt. I think it could have been done before, wasn't necessarily good, but they're buffing it. I'm not saying it's going to be pro scene popular, but I think it was viable in the previous patch to play it in pubs. I think it is even more viable now because of this late game change and the bounty run addition one. So all good. Level 15 talent, a little bit more health, and then level 20 even more damage, 400 instead of 360. But it's fine. You should obviously go like Medallion, Solar Crest in this. Don't go Arcane Boots. I think I built Arcanes the one time because I wanted Guardian Greaves because I needed to remove like a disable, like a Slardar disable or something, but I don't think you need Arcane Boots on this hero. You can get like Earn Medallion and be completely fine on mana. You don't need that much mana on this hero. You could go like Soul Ring even. I would rather get Soul Ring over Arcanes on this hero, so I just don't... I guess maybe I'm overhyping how not important Arcanes are, but I really don't think you need Arcanes on Elk that much unless you're going Greaves. I'd prefer Phase, Treads. I don't even know if Tranquils, maybe. I don't know. Might be worth it because you'd probably get really fast with Chemical Rage. And I'll try it out. Maybe Soul Ring is stupid as well. I'm not sure. Ember Spirit, Sleight of Fist damage changed. Small buff there. Moderate buff. 5 damage per level. Buff to a place, to a way that he's not played currently. Chantress base damage reduced. That's fine. Reduce attack backswing. Okay. So that's basically... This is a buff to noobs right here. Big buff to noobs. Literally does nothing for good players. But normally they will attack, and their hero will stand still for half of a second afterwards, not doing this shitty backswing. So it's been buffed, so that doesn't happen as often. So if you don't know about canceling animations, you now have 0.2 seconds more time in your life. So if I just right-click an enemy hero, that means it's going to save my hero while chasing theirs 0.2 seconds every time I attack. Every time that I attack, which is so much time. Good for noob players. Juggernaut, Blade Dance damage reduced from 200. Okay, so it's just a nerf to the passive. The passive is one of the best in the game. In fact, let's do the math on it. It is I believe, 15% chance to crit at level 1. And it was basically 100 times more damage. So it's basically... it's 15% times 100 before, so that but now it's 15 times 80. Oops. 0.15 times 80. So now it is a 12% damage increase instead of a 15 at level 1 on average, which is still good. Late game, it's what, 30%? I mean, it's basically like ultimate levels because I think PA crit. I know that PA crit did less damage increase with her ultimate at level 1 than level 1 Juggernaut Blade Dance. Blade Dance is such a good passive. This is also an ability draft nerf in a lot of ways too, which I think is overall good. So that ability was way too good. I think it's a nice way to nerf Juggernaut personally. He'll just be less good at regular right-clicking late game, which is probably fine, considering that all of his abilities are really useful at all stages of the game. Leshrac split Earth mana cost has been reduced by 20 at all levels. I think this is a nice change, especially for support Leshracs. It's a really big advantage. Lena base intelligence increased by 3. Base damage, random variance reduced from... Wow, she had an 18 damage spread with attacking. I didn't realize it was that extreme. So that means, if you guys don't know this, all heroes have a minimum and a maximum damage that they deal. The damage number that you see is the average, but if you hover over it, it'll show you like, hey, your range is... Like Chaos Knight is a really big one. It's like 60 to 80 or something. Maybe no, it's less than that. It's like 50 to 70. So if we go to Chaos Knight, it's easy to see about. There, look at that, 51 to 81. That is his range. So you could do 51 damage, and you could also do 81 damage. I didn't realize Lena's was so wide, but now it's a little bit better. So last hitting is less extreme. So it was probably 53. It was 43 to, no, she got a 3 damage buff as well. So it was a 43 to 55 and then 3 more. So it was a 40 to 58. It was like 40 to 58 damage per last hit. I didn't realize it was so extreme. That's a bad spread. So last hitting should be more consistent on her hero now. And she also got base into 3, which is, 36 mana, 3 damage increase, a little bit of magic resistance, a little bit of spell amp. That'll be nice. Good for support players too. Lion mana drain now slows the target by 14, 16, 18, 20. I think this is a nice change. Casting mana drain is like terrifying in almost all stages late game, but at least now it does something. Normally you don't want to cast mana drain for any more than like half a second or 1 second, because if you're standing still like that, it's the biggest target ever, and a lot of heroes will choose to go on you in those moments. It's actually very easy to overlook how obvious it is for people to engage on you or commit to going on you when you're casting mana drain or any other channeled ability. But this is nice. So even if you're on cooldown with everything else, at least you can slow people. 20% is not huge, but it's definitely not insignificant. Useful against heroes even if you don't need their mana, basically, which is nice. Makes the ability useful outside of refilling your mana, or if they're low and draining them all the way, or killing illusions. So this is very good. Good change. And it also continues to make Line the disable powerhouse that he is. It's one of his best features. And I like that they're going more on that path rather than just trying to fix him, make him better at right-clicking or better at trading or some of these other support aspects. Shapeshift cooldown increased. This is the nerf to Lycan. Whew. A whole 10 seconds. Not that big. But the Lycan one's huge because he has a perk to increase the duration that can get you semi-close to permanent uptime. So I think this is a pretty significant late game nerf. It still keeps Lycan strong early game like he is. Wolves also don't need any armor, but he's still going to be very powerful early game, but he won't be nearly as available late game to do his Lycan things. Like, he's going to be so much more, if he sticks to the same item builds and he doesn't have his ultimate up as often, it could really hurt him in terms of his ability to carry. This makes him even easier to lane against, though. He does have a lot of regen, but losing base armor is actually going to be huge against him. It'll be much easier to trade in the long term. Mystic Snake cast range reduced. Level 10 talent. This one needed to be buffed. 12% is like gross. Nobody wants that number. 15 feels so much better. I mean, it's what, 25% better, so it's a pretty big increase, but might actually be worth getting 50% because the other one's like 25 damage or something insane, I think. On a hero that like attacks up to 4 units, why would you not get plus 20 damage, guys? It just makes you farm so much faster. But now that it's 15% evasion, you're like, okay, this actually feels worth getting. Especially if you stack with Butterfly, obviously. Gets even better. Feels better, at least. Not that this perk was necessarily bad, but almost nobody, I didn't see anybody ever really grab it. 20 damage is insane for increasing your farm potential. Mana Steel, this goes up. I actually like this a lot. I've looked at this perk recently and realized, oh, that's actually potentially useful. But I like that they're buffing a little bit, because again, the other one is also very hard to pass up. 30 attack speed. Why would I not get 20 damage and 30 attack speed? I will farm so much faster, deal so much more damage. It's like a free power treads. It's like those 2 perks is like, here's a power treads and here's also a phase boots. You can just have those. Go ahead. Why would I not take those over Mystic Snake, Mana Steel, and stuff like that? But there's it's getting more appealing. I don't know if there will be a I think that like this perk is going to get buffed maybe 1 or 2 more times, and then Ice Frog will scrap it is what's going to happen. Because if it gets buffed too much and people still don't feel like there's really a use for it, like they're never really like, you know what, I really don't feel like I need this ever. Like, for example, if I'm playing against an OD and I'm a Medusa, I'm already in a bad matchup because he can drain your int and ulti you to reduce your mana. I guess draining his mana doesn't really matter because he can always get it back most of the time. But if this drains 11 base and I can pump it up to 31% casting on him directly, that's pretty cool. Also, the more mana you steal, the more you get back, actually, is another thing. So I would actually say that against somebody like an OD or a Pugna, increasing this Mystic Snake mana steal could be really beneficial because it could refill your mana pool. So I think that perk is potentially very good. 30 attack speed is still disgustingly good, but maybe there's some circumstances where you'd want to be able to steal more mana. Because if it does jump... Oh, I'm sorry, it's 20% base. That's its level 1. So it go up to 40%. That's super good. I thought for some reason that the percentage mana stolen per jump would increase, but it doesn't. It stays at the same. So that's not bad. Up to 40% mana steal per snake, and it's an 11-second cooldown. That sounds honestly abusable to me. 40% is huge. You could steal like 400 mana from a support late game. Then they just can't cast their spells. I don't know, that seems pretty cool. If you cast that twice in a team fight, and that's is that max or is that current? Of the target's total mana, yeah. That's max. So you could steal 40% every snake that hits them. So within like 14, 15 seconds, you could cast that twice and they lose 80% of their mana pool. That's potentially very good. There's a lot of heroes that it's very easy to forget that, oh, I actually really need mana for this hero to be valuable in any way. Even something like, I don't know, Terrible Aid. Like a lot of heroes, if they're sub 200 mana, it's actually really dangerous because they maybe need to cast an item that costs 100 mana or whatever to cast Manta Style or 165 or whatever it is. I don't know what it is right now. I think they reduced it. And then they nerfed this talent as well, which makes sense because this perk was really good. And a buff to this while keeping this the same is kind of unfair. Keep your raw mana. What's the other one? Nobody ever gets it. Stone Gaze Duration. You know when people get that perk? Is an ability draft. That's the only way. If they're playing ability draft and they don't have mana shield, then they will get the Stone Gaze Duration if they have Stone Gaze. That one's actually not bad though. An extra 2.5 seconds is pretty significant in my opinion. But obviously the mana is important to keep her more alive. But I'd argue if the Stone Gaze team fight duration, if like using Stone Gaze to prevent your opponents or dissuade your opponents from fighting you is important, that Stone Gaze duration is actually super good. Super, super good. It's basically invulnerability. Like they can't attack me for 10 seconds out of 7 then. Wonder if Refresher would be fun with that. It's like 20 seconds that you're just screaming. It feels very beneficial. I feel like that perk is potentially a little undergrabbed, even though this one is obviously such a disgusting amount of survivability. Morph cast range increase. So this is your ultimate. I like this change. And the mana cost is reduced. And the replicate cast point is removed. So we're getting a Morphling buff now. But it's only a buff to his ultimate, which is by far the least popular part of the hero. I think this is ultimately a nice change. 600 cast range was atrocious. You couldn't cast this as you basically have to be in the thick of things to cast your ultimate, which sucked. Now you can basically cast Morph to steal an ability or to become a hero to steal their ability as the team fight starts or right before you initiate. You can basically, this is going to be a lot more like Morph into Queen of Pain, Blink Scream Dagger, turn into Morphling, attack a few times, then waveform past. Before you'd have to waveform in, cast Morph, then cast your combo. So I think this is a really needed change. I mean, the important thing to remember is the cooldown is fucking huge at level 1. It's like 160 seconds or something. So I don't think, like, even if this ability becomes good, it's still on an ultra long cooldown. And reducing the mana cost also really helps because if you don't have something like Tread's Ultimate Orb, Wand, or Soul Ring or something, having to spend like 75, 100, 125 mana before you're about to cast spells that are really expensive in mana cost from your opponent. I guess really expensive is an over-exaggeration because you can't cast ultimates, but reducing the mana cost a little bit I think is really nice. And reducing the cast point also helps just because it can become more instant. Maybe a good thing. I think this is maybe a mistake to fully remove it, personally, because it would, let's say I'm getting cold snapped or something, it'd be easier for me to turn into somebody else to tank damage while I'm them, and then transform back afterwards to retain my previous health. It'd be easier to do that now. But considering the previous nerf where if you get stunned you can't morph, maybe this was a good way to make that more fair. Give him some survivability. But morph is significantly better with these changes, I think. Mostly this one. This one's the big one. I think this one's also really strong too. So silences still own him. Chain stuns still own him. But nice changes, I think. Prophet, Wrath of Nature cooldown reduced. This is a early game Prophet buff. I feel like I haven't seen Prophet in it forever. I don't even know what state he's at currently. I don't think I'll ever be good at this hero though. I'm like, I can go anywhere I want every 20 seconds and I just die way more often than I should. It's way easier to put myself in danger. Degen aura range reduced, purification cast range reduced again. Dude, this is so tough. Back when Omninet was OP, like when Slax was playing him, he used to do 360 pure damage and the cast range was like 600 units. And this is hard. You like have to get an Aether Lens to have ease of casting on allies now. But I don't think Omninet's been played in the pro scene other than a core in a very long time. So these are just necessary nerfs to affect his ability to offlane effectively, while also saving allies, I guess. Because now he has to be mobile in addition to them potentially being mobile so that he can cast Purify aggressively. It's definitely becoming more and more and more of a defensive skill or a only on himself skill. Fortune's End mana cost reduced from 110 to 75. Is that your first skill, Oracle? I think it is. I think that's a nice change, especially because that ability has a lot of uses, but most of them are. You can use this a lot. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, this is correct. This is a huge difference actually. This is actually one of my biggest complaints about the hero is that before you get Arcane Boots, his mana costs are just way too high, way too high. Even though the level 1 cooldown is like 15 seconds, but 110 mana, he'd have like it's like 310 mana or something, 350 mana at level 1. You'd cast this spell once. That was 110. That's a third of your mana pool, just about. And usually you want to cast like 2 Purifying Flames. So let's say like at level 2, cast 2 Purifying Flames to try to kill somebody. That's 160 mana. And here's Fortune's End. That's 110. And instantly you've lost 270 mana. That's like your whole mana pool at level 2 to cast 1 rotation of spells. And yes, it's a pretty large amount of damage. 90, 180 plus 90, it's like 270. But that's your whole freaking mana pool. So I think this is really a really nice adjustment. Especially because you can cast it to remove a debuff from an ally or something like that. I wonder if it'd be more worth lowering cooldown early. Probably not, but probably not. There's almost no circumstance where you'd max this first, I feel like. Although potentially 6 seconds out of you at 2.5 potential, but you got to channel it, so it's not really that valuable. It does a lot of damage level 1. I don't know. I think this is a nice change. Basically makes it much more of a 1-point skill, 1-point wonder skill by far. This is a really nice big buff to Oracle in terms of mana needs. You don't need as many items to be able to cycle combos and stuff. Oh, cool. You can. This is really cool. This is a really smart idea. This makes it much easier to be like, which ability do I have to search for while holding Alt to understand which one becomes buffed. This is very, very nice quality of life change. All right, Pangolier, Rolling Cooldown, or Rolling Thunder cooldown increased. This guy needed a nerf for sure. Rolling Thunder is really, really good if used correctly. And there are some heroes that counter him. Things like Nets, or I think Hook or Doom. I think there's a couple things that interrupt it, but Ultimate was way too good, and this is good late game too. I think this is needed. Rot Slow rescaled. This was a recent change. It slowly got buffed up in movement speed, but I think this needed to happen. Rot was definitely too good level 1. 30% is insane. Like if support Pudge comes and gets behind your offlaner at the right time, they die every time. But 10% movement speed difference is enough where like if the offlaner has boots and the Pudge doesn't, then the Pudge can't keep chasing permanently. This is like a change that's going to be, it's going to feel very significant when it starts being encountered. Still makes Pudge good. It's better late game, I guess. But I think this is a necessary change. Pugna level 15 talent change from +1 with a Netherward health 2. So I'd go from, it has 4 hits. This would put up to 5 before, and now it'd be up to 6. It's I think a nice change. I don't know if anybody would still grab it because the other perk I feel like is very good.
Who dare cross my path?
It's actually pretty equatable now. Netherblast cooldown is very good. Puts it down to 4, but +2 Netherward health is insane. It's going to be much harder to kill Netherward now. Life drain damage increased. So this is this what the Scepter damage levels were? I can't remember, but Scepter now only removes cooldown. Yeah, so I think the reason Pugna fell off so hard was because of the changes to stats. So against int heroes, for example, they naturally get magic resistance, which means against them, Pugna just doesn't do nearly as much damage as he used to. Because the way that magic amplification works is that, let's say I'm fighting a hero. Let's say that after magic resistance, I deal 100 damage. So if I'm dealing 100 damage, but I also have a Veil, well, let's do it this way. Let's say I do 100 magic damage. They have 25% magic resistance, so I deal 75. When I get a Veil, the amount of damage that I deal is only increased by, it's like 25% or something. So it's kind of like this. I think this will work. Yeah, this is correct. So the damage that you deal to them after resistance is how much damage you will be increased percentage-wise. So even though they have 25% magic resistance and Veil lowers their magic resistance by 25, it doesn't mean that I go from dealing 75 damage to 100. It just means that the damage that I deal is amplified by 25%. So if I'm attacking somebody and they have more magic resistance, so instead of having 25% magic resistance, let's say they have 25 plus 15. I don't remember the exact numbers. I think I'd have to like add them to 1, then multiply them together or something. But let's say they have, we'll say 35% magic resistance. So Veil will still increase your damage by 35, but if they have 25, but if they have 35% magic resistance, That means that my nuke is now only doing 65 damage instead of 75, and the Veil will still increase it by 0.25. So I'm still getting 25% more damage, but now I'm only getting like 16.25 damage from my Veil instead of before where it was like, shit, am I doing this right? 65 times 1.25. 81 minus 65. So I'm getting 16.2 there, and then 17 minus 75. It's like 18 or something. So yeah, it's like slightly less damage, right? It's like 2.5 damage or something, I think, if I remember the previous numbers. So what this shows is that if you have more magic resistance, Veil and magic resistance reduction from things like Decrepify still amplify the damage you deal, but it's amplifying a smaller number. So basically using Decrep, Blast, Ulti on somebody on Pugna now does naturally so much less damage against any int hero. Like late game int heroes, it could just be some random Jakiro. He doesn't even have a hood, he doesn't have a Glimmer Cape, he's just walking around with like 15 to 20% magic resistance, and now Pugna does way less damage to that guy. And the way that burst heroes work in Dota is like, if you're a burst hero and you can burst somebody from full HP to no HP, it's amazing. You're like, they're fucking dead, I got gold. But if they barely survive and they have time to pop a wand or a mech or maybe a BKB or their ally covers them, or maybe that was all the damage you had and there's literally no way you can kill them if you can't burst them, then everything changes. Like the knife's edge of burst damage is so strong. If you can't kill somebody, the hero sucks. If you can kill somebody, it's amazing. That's why I like rushing Dagon on like Nyx Assassin is amazing on at low levels, because it just lets you keep one-shotting people, and that snowballs and snowballs. But as soon as they get a little bit too much HP, you're like, oh, my hero sucks. I have to coordinate with allies and gank and stuff. So that's why Pugna fell off. He was like the most OP hero, same with Necro, but all of a sudden like all this magic resistance comes in and everything changes. I think that was, my opinion is that's why that happened. But is mostly the magic resistance and things like that. So what I'm trying to say is that is why Pugna is not as good as he used to be. And I wanted to talk about magic resistance because I looked that up and realized it, understood finally exactly how it worked, because the numbers were a little confusing. Either way, so this is a buff to life drain, just does more damage now, especially late game. It's 25 extra at levels 12 and 18. And other than that, not a huge change to the hero. Not that big. Although I would say Pugna's in some ways better now because he has so much int that if you buy any 8 mana regen, that you're going to get a lot of mana regen like him now. So maybe you can get away with just like Eggs plus Aether Lens. No, who knows? Shadow Fiend, Necromastery max souls reduced. So 6 less early. This is basically a early game nerf. I think this makes sense. No reason to nerf him late game necessarily, like reduces max souls, but if you abuse something like Clockwork Cogs, for example, there's only so much bonus damage you can get. If you get a lucky early first blood or something, or outlane your opponent, you won't get catapulted as high. Because raises already do so much stacking damage now that Shadow Fiend's actually a big threat in lane. That it's kind of unfair if he has that threat, can triple raise somebody, and also goes up to super high right click damage. It's like you can instantly lose track of your lane if you don't have a good mid lane hero. I think this is a change that makes sense for Shadow Fiend's current position. Shadow Shaman Ether Shock cooldown increased. Okay, I think this is pretty fair. Shackle's total damage reduced. I think this is also fair. Shadow Shaman is really strong right now. I think low-level players don't really play him fully correctly, and that all they think about is shackles and serpent wards, and that they can push towers. I think this also is a huge nerf to Shadow Shamans that just go heavy disable with like shackles and hex. Ether Shock's already an amazing skill at level 1. 8-second cooldown previously, does 140 damage to one hero. It's an amazing ability to trade with. But if you could do that and also like level up shackles and hex, or basically if you go like 103 or something like that, you have no downsides basically. You can zone and you can disable a single target. You can basically wreck offlaners. So I think this is a nice change. 14-second cooldown is huge. And it encourages you to max Ether Shock at a relatively early time so you can cast it more often. I think this is fine. I don't think it's going to hurt Shadow Shamans much. It'll hurt them for their ability to zone, which is fine because he's got amazing base damage right now. He hits for like 70 damage, and he has Ether Shock at an 8-second cooldown for 140 damage. And with 1 point shackles, you can deal 120 damage and stun for 2.5 seconds. He is like the best offlane zoner if you have more heroes than them. But in a try versus try situation, he is certainly much worse now, like without a doubt, way worse now, which I think is completely fine. 60 damage for shackles is significantly worse. With that said, though, this is a baller skill point here. Level 2 shackles, dude. Why would you pass that up? 120 damage from one skill point? That is so good. Before I do 80, you're like, yeah, that's pretty good. But now it's like I feel like I'm always getting level 2 shackles early game now and skipping Hex until like level 8. Or delaying my Ether Shock. That's an amazing point right here. I'm doing math wrong. 100 damage, NA math. 100 damage increase. Okay, not as good, but still good. 100 damage per level. I'm glad I caught that one. Whew. I think I got this 120 in my mind, and it made me not think as much about the math. Oh well. I'm sure it's not the first terrible math I've done this game, or this stream. Tinker getting a big-ass movement speed nerf. 15 is huge. That is a huge amount of nerf in terms of movement speed. My guess is that he had big movement speed because he didn't have any disables in the past. But considering how strong Tinker is right now, especially with things like Kaya and mana regen, how much mana regen you can get just from stacking mana regen and int items. Not to mention that he has a perk at 20, I believe, where you get 40 movement speed. Is it 20? 15 actually. 40 movement speed. Most players were grabbing movement speed from what I saw. That way, if like they use rearm and it gets canceled, they can sometimes just run away with BOTs and that perk. Spell lifesteal felt. I remember I played a 10v10 where somebody got spell lifesteal, and it was just disgusting. Like March of the Machines, he was healing so much. But that's a pretty big move speed nerf. Pretty huge actually. Big change there. Way easier to gank by roaming heroes early game, which is really when you should be able to pressure Tinker, is in the laning stage before he gets blink. So this is going to be very costly to Tinker players. Tiny toss cooldown increase. This kind of need to happen. Tiny's very strong right now. I haven't played him too much, but I believe as a support he can kind of get way too much done early game. In terms of harassing people, moving around with Soul Ring, ganking, doing lots of damage. Not sure what they can do to put him in a better place. This also really hurts his 3 charges of toss, actually, because if it takes you 33 seconds now to recharge all 3 charges instead of the previous 24, it's a pretty big difference. Because it felt like before, though, I think I played him like one game with 3 toss charges. I always had a toss ready, is what it felt like. So this is not going to be the most significant thing, but it will make an impact. One curious thing is that I know there's a avalanche cooldown perk. How in line can that become? 12 seconds. That puts it at 5. That's interesting, actually. So previously, I think Avalanche was a 22-second cooldown and had the 12-second Avalanche cooldown. So that would have put it down to 10 seconds. Toss would still be 8, and they still wouldn't line up. Now, you can get Avalanche to be the 5-second cooldown, and Toss is going to stay at 11, which is kind of interesting. So you can cast Avalanche twice as often as you can cast Toss if you grab that perk, the Avalanche cooldown perk, which is potentially very valuable. 5-second cooldown on a 1-second stun, an AoE 1-second stun. That is not too bad. Not too bad. All 3 toss charges is also very good though. Huh. I feel like I could see late game Tinies maybe making the decision. They're probably still going to go 3 tosses because that's so good for clearing, but having a 1-second AoE stun every 5 seconds just feels so good late game. In a team fight, in a chaotic team fight, being able to stun all that often feels valuable. Huh. It's kind of fun that like a nerf to make a hero worse makes me more creative about other aspects of the hero that are now maybe better, even though technically that was always there before. But I guess it's now like another cool decision to maybe make a choice on. Tusk Snowball can no longer be casted while rooted. Okay, that's probably fine. A little nerf to the hero. CM Frostbite, stuff like that. Windrun mana cost reduced again, now down to 50. I like this change. And mini stun focus fire. Okay, so this one was cool. They pulled it from a custom game originally they made where it could shackle. Whoever you cast it on would be shackled to something behind them or a tree, and then behind that tree would get shackled to something else. But it's really hard to control that. It just doesn't really. It's not really reliable. It's like, man, I hope all those 3 heroes will be walking in a straight line. It's just kind of like, more often than not, what's going to happen is you're going to shackle 2 heroes together at best and get a creep behind them or a tree. Like the chance of it being 3 heroes is just so low. So increasing the shackle shot duration I think is better. It's still kind of a shit talent. Half a second is not much. It's not much. but the other one was certainly worse, I feel like. And the duration is 3.8, so I'd put it up to 4.3 seconds, which is still a shitload. Still a shitload. And we get cooldown reduction, so 30% is not bad. So if I have a 12-second cooldown on Shackle, there's a double check here. Yep. 12 times 0.7. So 8.4 second cooldown on Shackle right now. And the duration can go up to, that's with the 25 perk where you get the cooldown reduction. 8.4 second cooldown, and it can last for 4.3 seconds. So it's basically half stun uptime, which is really good. So I feel like that perk's not bad. The 0.5 Shackles, it's not bad if you're planning to get cooldown reduction. I think it's very good. Maybe not very good, but potentially very good. The Wind Run Gant's invisibility is still really, really good, though. That perk is amazing. It kind of sucks if you're using it just to get movement speed during battle, because you go invis and you have to like right-click them again. And that if you like Wind Run and then use phase boots, there's no fade time. You're just instantly invisible. So it's very easy to like use it wrong. But that perk's also amazing. So I don't know. It's a harder decision, I feel like. At low levels, there's like no way that players shouldn't just get the invisibility one. If you're ganking a lot, I feel like you still get invis. But the Shackle, the option is better than it used to be. Mini stun focus fire, I just don't really care, I guess. I don't really care if my hero mini stuns. Just feels so... I mean, Monkey King Bar doesn't do it anymore. It just does piercing damage. Why is my hero so quiet? I think my headset is bugged, that's why. You guys might be hearing some bee boops. Okay, I can hear now.
As the arrow flies.
Okay, I don't know. Are you guys hearing some weird noises?
Wild winds rising.
So it just deals pure damage and goes through evasion or whatever, but it doesn't stun anymore. So if you ever want to stun on Wind Ranger, you would need Yule Scepter, or you could buy Basher, guys. You never know when it's going to be worth it. 10% chance. Ooh. Did you guys see that sick bash just now? Yeah, we're going to need to keep casting that one. And the cool part is if you get attack speed now, it actually benefits the hero. Are we capped out? I think we're capped out here. 0.25 seconds. Yeah, we're actually capped out already. 0.25 seconds. Still capped out. Alright, we're capped, dudes. I can't remember. What's the attack speed cap? I know they changed it a little bit, but I don't remember exactly. I guess she must have been added already. Cap is 600? Okay. So it's my attack speed 250. So basically, just by being level 6 and having... You just need about 60 attack speed, basically. Because if I do that here, then I'm not capped. Yeah. So I'm about 50 seconds sub of what it takes to max out. But anything more than that is a waste. So getting the moon shard actually does nothing. Except for, obviously, that if I don't have focus fire, it does more. Anyways, let's level up to max. Let's get rid of this shit. I mean, the duration is not high. It's potentially really good, though, actually. Because if this is like a hero... Let's give him, like, actually real stuff. Attack speed, movement speed. This is like the worst perk in the game in my opinion. It's so bad. It's actually so bad. The first time I got it, I was so fucking disappointed. I think I've never been so disappointed in my life as when I actually skilled this. I went 40 attack speed one game. Got this perk and was so disappointed. You know why, guys? Because it isn't attacking procs counter helix. It's attacking provides a chance to proc counter helix. It's a chance. That means that if this axe attacks, he has a 20% chance to proc counter helix. You know what the fuck that means, guys? That means that if we do the math real quick, Let's just take a second here. Here's counter helix, 180 pure damage. Let's see how often it does it. That means 36 pure damage AoE per attack is what that is. This is a level 20 talent that gives you on average 36 pure damage per attack. It's so bad. It's actually so bad. It's not, dude, it's not worth it for a 20 perk compared to the other one. Look at that other one. 20 health regen? 20 health regen is insane. Right now, this hero with no items. Let's get some like standard axe items, okay? Let's unpause. Tranquil boots, magic wand, and then he's gonna have like blink dagger, he's gonna have a blade mail, maybe like a force staff or something. None of these give strength, but I've got 67.3% HP regen. Like right now, with just the tranquil boots going, I'm healing 18 HP per second here. But if I pick up that health regen, it gives me 30 HP per second. Per second, 30 HP. Why would I not get 30 HP per second on axe without a heart, by the way, compared to 36 on average pure damage in an AoE? And it's limited to a cooldown of 0.3 seconds, I'm pretty sure. So if I get attacked a lot, like if I'm being attacked by a million units, that perk does nothing, I'm pretty sure. I don't even know if it's a separate cooldown. I don't think it is. So if I'm being attacked by a million units, that perk does zero. Actually nothing. The perk only helps me if I'm not being attacked or if I'm not being attacked often. And then only works if my axe also attacks very fast, which pretty much only happens if you get the 40 attack speed perk. That's the only circumstance. This is like the biggest letdown talent in the whole game. It sounds so cool, but it's so not good. If it was every attack, yeah, that's OP, I guess. So maybe that's the issue. If it procced it every single attack, it'd be dirty. Because then you're giving yourself 180 pure AoE damage every attack. That'd be disgusting. Well, it's not every attack. It's every 0.3. But how often is my axe attack here? Pretty fast, but not that fast. Every 0.79 seconds. Hypothetically, if it worked the other way, and you got like a moon shard or something, it would be insane. You would just like constantly... There's people would basically just play axe, and they would just do this. They would just be like, oh, well, time to proc counter helix, and they would just spin constantly. Like it's good, but like without counter helix, he still does so much more damage. Like I could buy, I don't know. It just feels so bad. Other carries damage procs do way less. That isn't true in the slightest. In the slightest. Here, let's show you another hero's damage proc. Hey, let's do Faceless Void. Here's a great example. Alright, I have a 25% chance to do 125 magic damage. Yes, I recognize that that's less than 180, okay? So it's, let's do the math really quick. 125 times 0.25. So I'm getting 31.25 magic damage per proc. This is naturally, by the way. Obviously doesn't spin if somebody attacks me or whatever. So in some ways, like, yeah, we can't really equate this just for me attacking and him attacking. But this does 31.25, and his did like what? About the same or something? It's 360 or something. 180. So it's pretty close. 31.25, I believe, and 36 pure. But hey, look, I've got this talent in here. It's 100 time walk damage. And look, another 40 attack speed. That's exactly what I was looking for. So now it deals 225. Let's see how much that does. This is a 15 perk, by the way, so it's technically not as powerful. Although you can make an argument saying that it being earlier is a good thing or whatever. But 225 times 0.25. Boom, 56.25 damage on average per hit. And that perk alone, the 100, that perk, that level 15 perk, gives him 25 magic damage per hit on average. And this Axes gives you 30. It is AoE, of course, and it's also pure, which is better. It's a lot more damage. So I guess that's the other thing I haven't mentioned enough, is that it's pure damage versus magical. But I don't know, man. It's just so not that much. The fact that it's AoE basically ruins the whole thing. If it wasn't AoE and it was single target or something, sure, attacking procs counter helix, make it go wilder. But the fact that it's AoE basically means that it's never going to be good for single target enemies, because it'd be too OP otherwise. And therefore, it's never worth spending the money, or probably even the 40 attack speed perk, maybe, to bother skilling it for single target reasons. There's no point. And anything else, you can just use Berserker's Call and spin anyway. So it's just like, it's such a cool idea, but it seems really hard to balance. Or they'd have to do it so it's like procs twice as often or something. Like, make it so it's 40% chance to proc or something. That would be kind of cool. But 20 health regen is disgusting. That's so much. Not that it necessarily keeps people alive. There's so many heroes that have better procs. Can I select new hero? Who's another example of a proc? Slardar has a huge bash. Spearbreaker has a bash. These all have perks that are so much better. Let's level the max. Not that you would necessarily get these perks. Let's do this. I don't know, this. We'll do it without. So this is what move? It's based on movement speed, right? So let's go like, I don't know. Do SBs buy tranquil boots? They always go treads. I don't know. Let's get like this, and I don't know. We'll get like let's go Shadow Blade or something. All right. Or maybe we'll even get this and maybe like, I don't know, an urn or something. Oops, I have 2 urns. That's bad. Don't buy 2 urns, guys. All right, here's my movement speed. I have 419 movement speed. This does 48% as damage. I haven't even skilled it yet. That's without using Empowering Haste. So 48% times this is like 200 magic damage, and it's a 17% chance to bash. That's a lot. Oh, I can increase it by 30%. That's 120 damage right there. Single target. And on a 17%. That's already like a shitload of damage too. And I can increase the chance as well. Like, these all almost never should be gotten, but they're actually amazing. If you actually want to right-click Spearbreaker, you can become so much better. 48 and a 42% chance. So let's, oops. I closed my calculator. Okay. So 419 times 0.78 equals this. That is a shitload of damage. Did I do this right? Am I crazy? No. Every time that you bash, in this case on Spearbreaker, at 419 movement speed, I'm dealing 326 magic damage. That is actually a shitload of damage. That's a regular nuke. And you can increase the chance up to 42. So this is the damage as a percentage of my movement speed, and I can multiply this by the chance times 0.68, 0.58. 0.58. That would be the opposite of 42. 852. 8 and 50, yeah. So right now my bash deals on average 189 magic damage per hit. And obviously if you get more movement speed items, I don't know, something like, would you buy drum in this hero? Why isn't it? Is this bugged or something? Oh, it's right. Maybe I think my movement speed is bugged, maybe. If I use both, I'm at 486, that's even more. I don't know, there's so many more procs that are just way better than the counter helix one. This one disappoints me. Anyways, that was the patch, guys. I hope you enjoyed that tangent into why Axe Spin's perk makes me think it's not good. Oh, Vessel, good point. You're actually exactly right. They would obviously buy Vessel. That's another 30 movement speed. Man, Vessel is so good for Spearbreaker. Wouldn't necessarily have Drum, but I mean, this is better, a better version of Drum, really, right? The Drum only gives you 20 movement speed. Other than the active, of course. So the main issue basically is that this hero has pretty poor agility gain, and he has a terrible base attack time. So any attack speed you do get is actually not very good. It's not really showing the last tick correctly. It's like hard to see because the numbers are literally on top of each other. But it's so much damage. It does have a cooldown though, 1.3 or 1.5. I just want to play like Spearbreaker now and just do this. Get level 25. What is that? Well, that was like 4 attacks in a row. How did you fail me, dude? Would it be worthwhile? I mean, this basically does like pretty much kill a creep wave, just about. Give me a creep wave. It's pretty good. 450 damage AoE. This is gonna deal like 700 or something. I don't know. So many things I want to try now. Getting lots of good ideas by being angry. Alright, well I think that's gonna be it, guys. Get Kaya. I don't know if I would get Kaya on the hero. I don't think that makes sense. Because if it's dealing, if my bashes deal 4, so it's basically the difference. If my bashes are dealing like 300 damage after magic reduction, which is basically 400, so it's doing like 400 damage, right? If I get a Kaya, that increases my damage by, it's a 2,000 gold item. It reduces my mana cost, which is fucking worthless as Spirit Breaker. It gives me more int, which at best gives me a spell amp, which is a good thing. 4.1, it gives me 0.9 spell amp, and it gives me 10. So it's basically 11% spell amp. If I deal 400 damage, that means it's giving me like 44 extra damage per bash, which is actually not very good. I don't think. It's not worth it for 2,000 gold. It'd be better if I bought a movement speed item, I think. Yule's is more expensive. But I mean, this is alone, that's 40 movement speed right there. And that gives me probably, what's the damage? This is like 30 damage. Yule's Scepter alone would give me like 30 more damage. Basically every 10 movement speed that I get 7.8 damage from it. So if I'm spending 2,000 gold on an item slot on a Kaya, it's just not worth it, I don't think. It'd be better to buy Boots of Travel, for example. That's 55 movement speed. I'd rather buy Boots of Travel on this hero than buy a Kaya, for sure. 55 movement speed is about the same damage. It doesn't obviously give me as much mana pool and mana cost reduction and efficiency against mana draining, but you have to do what's most efficient. And in reality, what I'd probably focus more on is something I'd get like an AC if I really wanted to do more damage. This feels good, man. God, my attack speed is so bad on this hero. This BAT is just so atrocious. It's like the worst in the game, I think. To prevent people from doing this, basically. Makes it very difficult. Why can't I find Moonshark now? There it is. Now we're talking. This is the build. Sanjanyasha. Yeah, Sanjanyasha is pretty good. That's a good idea, actually. For the reason that increases all the movement speed of the items that you buy. Gives you some good attack speed. 32 attack speed, 16% movement speed. So fast. What if I don't? This is my build. This is pretty shitty, but it's also very cool. Yeah, it's real fast. I like it. And when I get a bash, I go max movement speed. I'm into this, dude. This is the build. Nah, this is like almost impossible to build. You have to go like Treads, Urn, Shadowblade, Spirit Vessel. At that point, I feel like I'd want an AC or a Sanjanyasha first. I don't know. This is like unrealistic. You're gonna need a BKB or something. Have I done the tower damage over time? What do you mean? What does that mean? What do you mean? Well, I gotta go. This is max movement speed. 550 is. So, great patch stream, guys. Thanks for hanging out. I gotta go. I'll probably stream tomorrow, most likely. That's my current plan. Lots of good changes. Thanks for hanging out. You don't think the SB Moonshard build is realistic? You're right. You're completely right. But it makes me feel better about not getting the night vision perk. Grants 300 bonus vision. Wait, does that mean if I do? So I guess, I mean, this should be like this, right? If I get this night vision, that would put me up to 1200 night vision, and then I can also buy Moonshard on top of that. And then I would have. Does this? If I get the passive, does it also stack? I'm not sure. I don't even know if I want damage, actually. 10 health regen's a lot on this hero. It's not working, though. I'm not getting the regen. Weird. Do these stack, though? I don't remember if they do. Can't remember if they work. Either way, 300, 700. That puts me at 1500 night vision. That's pretty good. Anyways, you lost the vision bonus. No, they recently added the vision bonus, but I don't know if the vision bonus from both stack. I think the attack speed would. I would get 60 here and have 120 here, but you keep some now. Yeah. I didn't go damage last time. What are you referring to? Not sure what you mean. Towers have different states of damage now? What? What did I miss this? Tower. Okay. What are you talking about? I didn't miss anything. I'm confused. I don't think they have a different... I don't think you're right. Terrorblade Battle actually was good, believe it or not. You probably missed the section I talked about it. The reason it was good was not because it made your illusions damage heroes better. It was because it made your illusions wreck creeps a lot faster. Are we... Oh, come on, we know where. Battle. Okay. It was because it would give your illusions 60% damage bonus for the damage they did normally, even though the battle didn't give them damage. It would increase their damage by 60% against neutrals, lane creeps, ancients, stuff like that. So it would still make you farm faster. And it would give you a lot of HP and mana regen. And your primary hero would still get the AoE, the cleave if you're in melee form. It was actually beneficial, believe it or not. I think this is good. Consumable items, steamed hams. The consumable item steamed hams. Huh. I feel like you're messing with me. Unless you meant the fact that you can give items to other people. Is this where we're at, guys? There we are, steamed hams. Change hands, I thought that's what you were trying to say. Terror. This is a voiceover to Terrorblade's hero loadout. VO, that's usually what VO means. Is that what you meant? End streams, you can start at beginning. Alright, go play Dota, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Goodbye. I'm gonna run ads, mute, and see you later. Goodbye.
I run rampant. The beast of all worlds. Augmentation. It's not time yet.
Your middle tower is under attack.
As suggested.
Your middle tower is under attack.
The blaze.
So interestingly, you need 2 points in Chart of Darkness to guarantee that you get another strike hit.
Your middle tower is under attack.
This might be worth to do skill build kind of like this, I think. And then max this out, that way you do more damage. 149 there, and then I can deal an extra 300.
Your middle
Like 5-10 damage is pretty good.
The way is clear.
About the same. Oh, gotta wait.
Between the planes. As suggested.
Okay.
Of course. Well met. Certainly. Look there. My fault, companion. I return between the planes.
Oh, there's a bug. Okay. Can't buy any null talisman? Huh, okay. There's a bug. Okay. Well, I'm going now, guys. I think the ads are done.